Well, I just arrived in Lisbon.
Hello everyone, this is going to be a small video about the Lisbon Portugal Airport, flying on TAP Portugal Airlines, and my first impressions of Lisbon, Portugal. But first, I had to get out of Rome, Italy.
I got through security here at the Rome airport, and it went pretty fast, so I'm going to look for some sweetbread, I think, because I don't get a airport number, a gate number, until at least 30 more minutes, so I'm going to see how that goes.
In most of Europe, I have learned that breakfast is usually a sweet meal, lots of pastries for breakfast in Europe. I was flying on TAP Portugal Airlines, which is a budget airline company in Portugal. My original ticket was Los Angeles LAX to Rome, Italy, but I had found this deal that if you agreed to a longer layover, in my case a layover was 2 days in Lisbon, Portugal, they would give you a cheaper rate. I paid $570 for a round-trip Europe flight, which I consider a bargain, and then I got to see 2 countries on the same airfare ticket. Being a discount airline, there was not much in the way of amenities. The seats had a pillow and a blanket and a monitor with onboard TV entertainment. $70 of my plane ticket was to pay for preferred seating, which gave me a little bit of extra legroom. The meals on the plane were very simple, but I wasn't expecting much for the price that I paid. When I first arrived in Europe, the Lisbon airport sent us over to an international arrival gate. There was these machines that were supposed to take our biometric information, but they were not working. They just ended up scanning our passports, taking a picture, and then stamping the passport. It was a very fast process to get into Europe.
There's a McDonald's here, a KFC, and the fantastic world of sardines. That looks interesting to me. I'm going to check that out.
The Lisbon airport was a nice waiting area with lots of food options. My favorite was going to the fantastic world of sardines. I thought that was very different.
This, I guess, is like Portuguese food. The food looks a lot better here.
Upstairs, there was a priority lounge called ANA. I have priority lounge access, so I decided to check it out. They had lots of food options, but I wasn't really hungry when I arrived, so I just ended up having some sandwiches.
Sandwiches over here. Like over here. High-end jewelry that I can't afford. Pastries.
My lunch at the Priority Lounge was simple, but even lunch meat in Europe is better than the United States, so I was happy. One thing that was kind of interesting for me is that when it came to entering Europe, they only checked my passport once. Also, while traveling in Europe, they never checked my passport, but on the way out of Europe, they checked my passport 3 times. I mention this because when you leave Europe, you need to make sure that you have enough time to get to your gate. The longest line that I was in the airport was the one to get my exit stamp, which is past the initial security gate, which is very important if you ever want to come back to Europe. You need to have that exit stamp.
Glad I'm not coming in, but I'll need to remember this. That is a long line. That's passport control. So I definitely need to remember that for when I come in. Gotta make sure I'm back on time.
One thing about Europe is every airport that I have been to is really easy public transportation, and Lisbon was no exception. Right out the door is a metro station.
I'm looking for the red line right now, so that's where I'm gonna go.
When you get to the metro station in Lisbon, I suggest getting a Navigante card from one of the machines. It cost me €0.50, and I put an extra €10 of zapping credit, and that was more than enough to cover my 2 days of travel all over the city. The pass can be used on all sorts of public transportation. Very useful. I arrived on Sunday morning and my hotel wasn't ready, so I decided to visit a temple that belonged to my church that was near the airport.
Well, I'm not exactly sure where I'm at, but if I get hungry, at least there's a subway. I think I can cross here. That was definitely convenient. Goes right to the temple. I'm walking in a little neighborhood here, and there's a bunch of bells ringing out. I'm guessing that's for church, but I'm not sure.
My first impressions of Lisbon is the city is a very walkable city and there's lots of apartments. There was a metro stop really close to my church temple and it was fun to go and walk through the neighborhood.
I have learned in the metro that if nobody's here, you just got to get near the elevators and the escalators and they'll start moving. Otherwise, they won't move at all. So that's your tip. Make sure that you're near the escalators and they'll start moving. I'm on my way now more to the center of the city and we're going to find out how that goes.
It is quite common to see stores and or art displays in the metro stations in Europe. Just don't get distracted because there's many pickpockets out there and they're very aware of the tourists. By the time church was over, my hotel room was ready. I picked a hotel near the historic district called Teatro Boutique. It was a nice hotel, but very red.
I finally get to see my room. Very nice. Very red, but very nice. And I have a little seating area and a nice bed. Let's see what the view's like outside. Oh wow, perfect view outside.
Well, that's going to do it for this brief intro into Lisbon, Portugal. I plan on doing some more videos on Lisbon. If that sounds interesting, subscribe and I'll see you in the next video.